Yeah, John,
Thank you.
a lot of has happened in the world in recent months, and probably not all of us still understand the scale of changes, this, I would say, revolution, not only in the United States, but in the global agenda. How do you feel living in this world today in 2025? Could you imagine that something like this would ever happen in our lifetime?
Well, you mean, let's look specifically at Donald Trump, right? Since he's come to power. The most extraordinary and shocking thing about Trump's foreign policy is the fact that he literally wants to seize control of Canada and Greenland. And, okay, there are historical precedents for this. For example, in 1812, the American army invaded Canada. It was a very weak attempt to conquer Canada. But ever since then, we never had any plans to conquer Canada. And there was sort of a weak attempt during the Second World War to take Greenland. But now we have a president in the White House who's very serious about taking these lands, these countries. Well, Greenland is technically not a country, it's a territory. But, he says he's not willing to rule out military force. So here we see a U.S. president openly stating that he's going to conquer our nearest neighbor, and as well as a territory that belongs to another NATO country. This is unprecedented. This is shocking. At first we thought it was a joke, but no, it's quite serious. And what's behind this? Well, I'll tell you part of the reason. It's like so I grew up in a U.S. government family, and probably this does not concern most Americans. But for people like myself who grew up in this system, I'm going to call it the system, the U.S. government system, we always had this complex, this psychological complex that I'm growing up in the 70s and 80s, don't forget. How dare the Soviet Union is the largest country in the world. How dare those Russians, those Soviets, how dare they be the largest country? We, America, we should be the largest country in the world. That's so unfair. So we've always had this complex. So we, America, the greatest country, we like to say the greatest country in history. How dare, how can we not be the largest country in the world?